Begin by acknowledging Chancellor White's wise, courageous, and evidence-based leadership. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm starting my first chair's report, so let's see. Let me start over. I wanted to thank and acknowledge Chancellor White's wise, courageous, and evidence-based leadership. Throughout his tenure and throughout this historic health crisis, I know it wasn't easy to be the first head of a major university to make the difficult and controversial decision to keep most classes online for the fall term. But that's what a great leader does. They look at the facts and they make those tough choices. And the prudence of that particular choice is becoming increasingly apparent as the weeks pass. I also want to thank my colleagues, particularly Adam Day, for their trust and support. It was an enormous honor to be named to the Board of Trustees by Governor Brown 6 years ago. Since then, my respect, pride, and commitment to the CSU has grown daily. We all know the statistics. The CSU is the largest, most diverse four-year public university in the nation, with almost 500,000 students, nearly 4 million alumni, and more than 50,000 world-class faculty and staff, along with the most ethnic and gender diverse group of presidents. We're a socioeconomic escalator that lifts more students and their families out of poverty and into the middle class and beyond than any other institution in the nation. I didn't attend the CSU. I'm a graduate of that other California public university. My father dropped out of high school, and my mom left school in Mexico at 14 to work in a factory. I'm a living example of the transformative power of an accessible, affordable, quality higher education. Without that opportunity, I would not be here today. As I was thinking about what to include in my first chair's report, events were evolving so quickly that it was hard to pinpoint just a few relevant topics. Then I came across a quote by Lenin, Vladimir, not John Lennon, that seemed particularly apt. He said, "There are decades when nothing happens and weeks when decades happen." And as we endure this odd distortion of time and grapple with big decisions, when will we have a vaccine? How long must we self-isolate? How will teaching and learning be affected? How will our economy be impacted? But whatever the future trajectory of this pandemic, of this I am certain. The ultimate vaccine is education. A college degree is the single most critical tool for economic recovery. Individual, the state, and our nation. 99% of post-Great Recession jobs went to workers with some post-secondary education. And 70% of those jobs went to those with at least a bachelor's degree. While concerns over the cracks in American society due to income and opportunity gaps were evident for years, today the pandemic has revealed a San Andreas fault of inequality. As chair, I will focus on ensuring the economic health of the CSU. In my 6 years on this board, I have found that most issues come down to funding. A global crisis like the one we're going through that upends all preconceived notions, tills the social soil in preparation for the planting of fertile new ideas, and for old ideas previously unable to take root. The long-term health and sustainability of our system can only be assured if the CSU establishes a reliable, autonomous stream of funding that is not wholly tied to the ups and downs of our volatile state budget. Paradoxically, the budget is particularly vulnerable to downturns because of its highly progressive nature. Its main source of revenue are income and capital gains taxes. The top 1% pay 50% of those taxes. When a downturn hits, revenue plummets. In 2009, when California's economic activity fell by 3%, the budget plummeted 23%. This effect will only increase during the COVID-induced deep recession. Potential solutions have been circulating for years, from a tax on services to a Prop 98 for higher education, more recently, a data dividend, or royalty on the gross advertising revenue of the big tech companies based in California. This could create an endowment that will put the CSU system on a resilient financial footing by supplementing general state budget allocations, while cushioning the CSU from the volatility of the tax system. The biggest social fracture in American society in terms of life chances is the divide between those with a college education and those without. The deaths of despair among white middle-aged men without a college degree, chronicled by economists Ann Case and Angus Deaton, proved this to be as true for white Americans as Black or brown. There is already a model to follow. The Permanent University Fund in Texas is an endowment drawn from the state sale or lease of mineral rights and lands for oil production. In the 21st century, data is the new oil. Each and every one of our personal data is mined by big tech in order to target online advertising, making them among the richest companies in the world. It is an entirely consistent social policy to seek revenue from the knowledge industry to fund the higher education institution that trains the minds of the future and is the principal ladder of upward mobility for the state's population. While the CSU does have a small endowment, a data survey by Nexus Research in 2015 put the inequality of higher education endowments in stark contrast. It showed that Stanford received about $63,000 per student, while Cal State Fullerton got about $4,000 per year. For Princeton, which only has 8,200 students, the endowment generates $158,000 per student in annual revenue. Achieving true financial sustainability will require that the entire CSU community, students, their families, faculty, employees, and alumni join together to advocate. Twice in a decade, the CSU has been hit by severe financial blows, the Great Recession, and now a catastrophic pandemic. The time to act is when the need is greatest, and that time is now. Thank you. That concludes my report. Chancellor White?